All right. Well, let me go to flat.io and just see how you guys are doing on your fugues. I wanted to talk about some other considerations like three-voice counterpoint that you might run into, some things to be aware of. Today will be mostly a lab sort of class. But without further ado, all right, so I guess I can tell you a little bit more about three-voice counterpoint. So this is something that you're going to come against once you introduce the subject in the third voice. So I know that we've talked about how the fourth is not generally the best interval for strong beats. For essential intervals, we've talked about how Bach specifically goes out of his way to avoid like fourths on downbeats, at least on the downbeat of the measure and potentially on other beats. I mean, there are situations where there are certain situations where a fourth will occur, but it's not ideal. Like this is sort of a rare situation. But ideally, the fourth doesn't occur on a downbeat. But in three voice counterpoint, you can actually have a fourth if it's a stable interval between the top two voices, because the third can kind of complete a triad. But a fourth between outer voices isn't necessarily ideal. So that's basically the reason for that. The reason that we're so concerned about the outer voices is they're the voices that we actually hear the best. So as a result of that, they are supposed to be treated with a little bit more care. Okay, so dominant seventh chords. You have to omit one of the voices, one of the notes in a dominant seventh chord, right, in three-voice texture, because there's four notes in the chord and you have to omit one. So the fifth is most often omitted, which makes sense because it's the least important in establishing the quality of the chord. But, and the third is rarely omitted. So these are the examples where the third is rarely omitted, but it stands to reason that they're okay. Can you hear that? Me playing? Probably not. Let me share again. Oh, I know why you can't hear that. Sorry, last night I spent a lot of time managing cables, and so some things got disconnected in the process. All right. Anyone has a shortcut for this, let me know. Okay, can you guys hear that? You can't hear that? Oh, you can hear that. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so for instance, we have this, where the fifth is emitted. We have this, the fifth is emitted. Interesting. Yep, fifth is emitted. These all sound good and dandy. Sorry, this is so blurry. This is just the PDF I have is very blurry. The third is emitted here. Again. Okay. You want to avoid this one because the third and fifth are emitted. Also, you want to avoid these two as well because the seventh of the chord is doubled. So that kind of invites parallel octaves. Then you have this. In D, these are in situations where the root is emitted, so you kind of imply the diminished chord. You kind of imply the 7 diminished chord, essentially. So these two are the strongest in terms of resolution. In terms of making a statement, I guess the first inversion of this 7 chord is the strongest sounding, for whatever reason. I guess that would be more applicable in context, but okay. Non-dominant 7th chords. So non-dominant 7th chords are kind of awkward and hard to apply in 2-voice counterpoint, but they work nicely in 3-point counterpoint. We're getting jazzy now. Whoops, that can't be right. Oh, it's not right. Okay, and then we have this. We have this. Sorry, this is really blurry. Is that right? Interesting. All right. So, it just follows that you can construct 7th chords on scale degrees of the key that you're working in, and you can actually create, you can imply them with only 3 notes, including secondary dominants. Well, let me just play through these continuingly. Zoom in a little bit. Nice diminished chord. No, I made the same mistake earlier. Oh. So this is a secondary dominant right here, this chromatic note. You might have, in your chromatic assignment, it's just a matter of filling in the other voice, essentially. It's like you did the chromatic assignment, you know how to execute this with just the outer voices, potentially. So then it just becomes a matter of filling in the inner voices, and you have to just kind of remember that as a constraint, you generally don't want to omit the 3rd and 5th, right? When you're filling in chords, try to keep that in mind. And also, you don't want to double the 7th, right? It applies for both dominant 7th chords and non-dominant 7th chords, okay? So, look at that Italian 6. We looked at it. Very good. Parallel fifths, a special case. So again, you don't want parallelism, or in terms of, you don't want parallel fifths in the outer voices, but in the inner voices, there's like an exceptional case where it works. This isn't technically parallel fifths. These are actually unequal fifths in the sense that 1/5 is diminished and the other 5th is perfect. So what we have is this. this is bad. Because here you have, I wonder if I can draw this. We have this. Okay, forgive me while I sully this with my horrible drawing. That's bad. Chat. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what is your cat's name? This cat is named Bambi. Bambi actually just showed up in front of her house one day and started meowing. And I remember I was like talking to my family. I was like, what do we do? And then I fed Bambi a little bit. And then he just kept meowing. And then they were like, don't do anything. So then I brought Bambi in. And then he like slept in my room. And then basically we just never got rid of him after that. So it's a good success story. Although, yeah, we don't know what happened. We don't know who his previous owners were because he was neutered. We thought he was a girl, but then we found out he was neutered. And yeah, he's a very good cat. My other cats are named Apache and Cookie, and then my dogs are Oso and Janie. And the reason my dogs aren't here is because, for one, my puppy doesn't get along very well with my kitties. But well, my puppy loves the cat, but he just annoys the cats tremendously. But essentially, we kind of, and also if my puppy was here, she would like not leave me alone, and I wouldn't be able to teach at all. So that's the main reason. But yeah, everyone, humans aren't the only creatures that enjoy counterpoint. The cat sits with me a lot. Yes, thanks for the question. Let's see. Oh, really? Your friend lost a cat a couple of years ago named Bambi? Oh my gosh. Dude. Well, we don't know. We didn't know his name beforehand. We just assigned that name, but who knows? Maybe that's his name. He's peaking up an interest right now, like as if he's like, well, you have some intel that I don't know. Come on, share it up with me, Ben. So, this cat, a good cat. Bites me sometimes, but very good cat, in a playful way. Okay, little cat detour right there. But so what we have essentially, sorry. Now that I've given the cat attention, he's not going to leave me alone. So what the situation here is the fifth in the upper voices, and the upper two voices is okay, but the fifth that occurs from the outer voices is not okay. That makes it an unequal fifth. Cool. I put this in here, I guess, to kind of show you a texture of how to, you could, I mean, this is just a general texture. This is just taking what we talked about before and just inserting it into musical context. So, but there are many kind of clever things you can do. Instead of having the three voices happen all at once, you can kind of stagger them like this. I think that's what this is trying to show you. Whoops. Right? Sorry, I'm nervous. My cat's looking at me. Let's see. So what we have is, right? So what you have, you kind of have this sort of alternating motion. You don't have things happening exactly at the same time. Oh, you know what? This is tragic. When I restarted my computer, I had a whole set of other slides about rhythm, but they got deleted because I guess it didn't save. But I can always show you that another time. Essentially, the slides I was going to show you regarding rhythm were basically along the lines of like anything goes. Essentially, they're just basically showing you everything that occurs. And the takeaway isn't rules as much as possibilities that you can employ. So for instance, an example of rhythm that you can employ is this, where three of the voices are actually not, or basically three of the voices are totally independent. Another example of rhythm that they were kind of explaining was the fact, was when two of the voices are kind of homorhythmically kind of connected, meaning you can see these two voices have the same exact rhythm. and the third voice has a different rhythm. And I think like essentially it just shows you the examples I was going to show you are can be distilled just from this example, by virtue of the fact that you just see all the different possible pairings of rhythm between the voices. You can have total independence between the voices, or you can have some sort of pairing. And if you kind of have a pairing of voices, in some ways you have sort of a homophonic texture. You know, like if you have something like, whoops. You don't have much independence, but in a situation like this, you have a lot of independence. Right? Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. However, yes and no. Like there's a sequential element to this, so it's not as independent, right? They're sort of all chained to each other in that regard. So anyway, I guess one thing that I should mention, oh gosh, a lot of stuff got deleted since restarting the computer. The other thing that that's too bad. No, I think, no, this didn't get deleted. I apologize. Give me a second here. Okay. So any questions about your fugues? Like, as I said, I wanted to have today mainly as a workshop, but I guess the thing that you're going to have to come across very soon is the idea of the bridge, which is basically getting from the 5 key area back to the 1 key area in the third statement of the subject. So for instance, we talked about this bridge last time where we kind of analyzed, this is an extended bridge. You don't have to have a bridge this long, but we talked about different chords, and there's a sequence in here. Let me get more comfortable. Right? And basically the bridge utilizes information from the subject and counter subject in this case. This is fancy, right? It's using some of, I guess right here, this is the subject. And you can see that it's being used right here. Right? When it's being sequenced. But the counter subject you know, it might be a stretch to call this a counter subject because it doesn't really appear again. Well, actually it does. It appears right here. That's why it's not a stretch to call it. It's not a counter subject. It appears exactly. Again, the way we kind of describe these things as to whether they are a counter subject or a free counterpoint is on its occurrences and reoccurrences. So you can see how this counter subject also appears here. It's inverted. It's melodically inverted, contrary motion, because what you'd expect is, but instead it goes ascending, right? So anyway, and the ultimate goal of this bridge is to bring you back to the 1 key area. Okay. So maybe I can check out some of your fugues and we can just have a workshop. We can just work on this in class, and I'll just look through stuff. If anyone has any requests for me to look at their fugue, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just kind of randomly look. My favorite part of class, I'm going to ask people to start their videos. Okay, just ask some of you to start your videos. All right, let's see. Who's here? Okay, well, Chaz is here. Chaz, you're awfully quiet today. The different Chaz in a virtual environment. It's night and day. Chaz, are you there? Remember, you got to press spacebar to talk. Okay. Chaz had a lot more stuff last time, but I think he redid his Fugue because it was more invention-like. So just looking at this, this is a good candidate for, I guess I'll ask the class, is this a good candidate for a real answer or a tonal answer? So we are in the key of G minor. Who thinks, how many people think this is a good candidate? And I guess raise your hand. If you think that this Fugue subject is a good candidate for a real answer, raise your hand. Okay, what about tonal answer? Who thinks it's a good candidate for a tonal answer? No one, right? Because the dominant note doesn't appear until later on in the subject. It's a little bit of short of a subject, but that's a whole other subject. Let's check out Erica's Fugue. Okay, cool. Okay, it looks like this one might be a real answer as well, or it could be either way. Oh, nice. You did a good job. Then you have... All right, let's check it out. You went to the dominant key area, successful. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. 15th century bug still got me. Yeah.
Hello? Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Oh, hey, Chaz. Yeah, I can hear you. Were you trying to talk?
Hey, what's up?
Were you trying to talk earlier?
No, I wasn't here. Sorry.
Oh, okay, no worries. We were talking about your subject, and
Oh, okay. Yeah. Did you see my one measure subject? It was pretty good, right?
Yeah. No, it was very good. Yeah,
Oh, dude.
We were all discussing whether or not you should use a real answer for your subject or a tonal answer, and which one do you think you should use?
I was using either.
You would use neither. How so?
Yeah. Oh, because that subject is garbage.
Well, that's a whole other subject. But, no,
of course.
I already used that joke. I shouldn't use it.
Oh.
All right. Okay. So.
Fool me once. Shame on.
So Chaz, no, it's actually a pretty good subject. It's just, I guess, well, if you're not going to use it, it doesn't matter. But we decided that a real answer would be the best.
Oh yeah, of course. Cool. Yes.
Keeping it real. All
right, keeping it real.
So there's something, I guess, like this jump is a little bit jarring for me. This major ninth, because it's sort of like leaping to it's leaping to a consonant in the new key. But I wonder if you can have a note that's in common that you can step to that's consonant in both keys. Okay. I guess it is. I guess it is consonant in both keys. It's just, I think the leap. I think maybe you can go or something like that.
That makes sense.
So you copy this directly, you just copy and paste it? Okay, so let's see.
thought about going up to the higher D right there, ending on that higher D, but I thought that would be kind of weird as that being my high point for that whole first section.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, generally, yeah, the climax, there's something to be said about that. Yeah. And I can't remember where I had it, but there was a consideration like that. I think I actually might have put it in the subject section. That's probably maybe where you read it. The subject. Well, I guess it's saying with a climax point placed not too close to the beginning. So I guess having near the end is okay, but I guess I don't know this. I wonder if you can add. This is totally subjective, but I wonder if you can't add some more rhythmic activity here, like just to make it a little bit more flowy into the next. Because it seems to stagnate. It seems to like slow down and into the entrance of the other voice. Maybe you can add some rhythmic motion to kind of make it more fluid. But I like it. I think it's
Okay.
I think it's effective. And then I guess you would imitate that in the other voice as well. So like, you know, you could go, whoops. And then I guess you're in a situation where you can, wait. I guess you have to get back to, you have to somehow get back to the one using a little bridge. So think about some chord progressions that could work to get you back to the one.
Okay.
But yeah, very good, Erica.
Thank you.
All right, Chris. I think I looked at Chris's last time. Let me take a look at Ivy's. Or I think I looked at Ivy's last time. I can't remember if I did. Ivy.
I looked at mine last time, and I haven't done anything else. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. Okay, in that case, I looked at. Okay, who is K? Who's someone with the? Oh, you know what? I guess I have to. So weird. I have to like open a chat in order to find out who someone is. Oh, Katie. Okay.
Hello. Yes, that's me. Hi.
Hey, Katie. Have you gotten a chance to do bugle stuff?
I did some of it just now. Oh, it's not. Hang on. I just wrote the beginning of it. Like,
Huh.
is it not loading?
Yeah, I don't see it. It's a very, at least it's a very sparse subject from what I can see. That's okay. It's a very John Cagean 433.
Okay, let me refresh it. See if that.
Okay.
Works. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. My internet is like the worst, so that might be part of it. But
Yeah, I empathize.
okay, well, let me keep refreshing it.
Okay. In the meantime, I'll check out Ben's motet. Sorry, motet. I keep saying motet. Fugue. Ben's Fugue.
Hey, Nakul.
Hey, what's up?
So I have a question about the form. So I know after this part, we're supposed to write the bridge. And I know you said earlier in the class that it takes you from one key area to another, specifically the 5 to the 1. So I'm wondering because in measures 5 to 8, I'm in the 5 key area. So then would the next like 4 bars or 8 bars be staying in the 5 key area and then going back to the 1 at the end of it? Is that what you're saying? Is the bridge?
Yeah. Well, Well, first of all, sorry, I have to back up a second. You're in A major here?
D major.
D major. Interesting. Okay, so I got to say this is a little uncommon from the standpoint that it's from this standpoint. Subjects most often begin on the tonic note, less frequently on the dominant, rarely on any other note. So it's a little uncommon that it starts on a note that is the tonic, but you know, it's not to say you can't do it. It's just uncommon.
I was going for a 7-1 thing. If it's bad, it's bad. I'll change it.
But let's see. Ba-da, da-da, ba-da, ba-da. Yeah, I guess it's hard for me to hear this as D major. This is D major, huh? Because it almost seems like A major. So I think the one key area is not established as well as it could. Especially because right here, this is basically a dissonance on. I mean, this is a non-essential interval to the key. Like this is a second. You're emphasizing this note, which makes it more seem as though it's an A major, if you know what I mean. Because otherwise,
why can't that just be like another chord, like a I don't know, like a 2 chord or?
Well, think about it this way. It's that I guess that one impression that gives you one thing that gives one the impression that they're in a key is that they're emphasizing the first scale degree on strong beats, or they're emphasizing the 5th scale degree on strong beats, but you don't see the 5th or the 1 on a strong beat, and then you see.
So every measure on beat 1, it has to be like if I was in D major, it'd have to be a D or an A.
Let's see. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think it's sort of it's just I think it's just there's too many factors that are making it seem as though it's not in the one key. Because for instance, like the reason I say that is because this is the 3rd of A major, this is the 3rd of A major, this is the 5th of A major, this is the 6th of A major, this is the 5th of A major. Whereas this is the 7th of D major, this is the 1 of D major, this is the 7th, this is the 2nd of. You see how like most of the intervals you're using are not like in D major, or like not standard D major notes. So I think confounding that is the fact that since you have this long note on this downbeat, it kind of gives you the impression that you're not in D major.
Okay, maybe I'll just switch it to A major.
Yeah, I guess, but you could, but then it's also a little rare to have. I mean, you could have it on another note, but it's not as common to have the subject start on something that's not a 1 or a 5. But if you did, you could just do something like. But you know, I guess. Yeah, it's the fact that the 1 isn't appearing too often. I hear, yeah, this totally feels like A major to me. But then if this were A major, this would be a modulating subject. I know we're getting into a whole different subject. I haven't had coffee in a while. Need coffee, this jazz.
Well,
Katie,
I would have to rewrite the next 5 bars if I changed it to A major, right?
Yes. Well, actually, maybe. But no, it's funny though, because your subject feels like it's an A major over here. This feels like it's an E major. So like in some ways you don't have to rewrite anything.
Right.
You just have to change. You have to change some accidentals. Now here, sorry to. I'm glad we looked at this one. There's this idea of a modulating subject, and I'm trying to remember where I put that. Did I put that anywhere? Okay, so the idea is. No, actually, no. This is totally fine. You're sort of ushering in the 5 key area a little bit early. That's totally acceptable. Generally, this would happen in an invention, where a 3-part invention, like a sinfonia, is another name for 3-part invention, because since the one isn't, since the tonic note doesn't appear at all, the accompanying line usually has something. But you can't have an accompanying line in a fugue. So,
Okay.
but I'm. Ba 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 ba. So it's not. This is. I will say, Ben, this isn't as standard, but it sounds nice. That's the important thing.
I mean, I probably have to rewrite all of it, right?
Well, I mean, I guess if you want to insert a tonic note, you could do. But then it's weird. It's also rare that it would start on a 3rd. So I guess you could have. Maybe you could do that. But that doesn't sound as cool as yours.
Doesn't matter what sounds cool. Just gotta stay within the rules.
You gotta stay. Yeah. Well, this would work in a sinfonia. I guess you could write a sinfonia, which is a 3-voice invention is the same thing as a 3-voice fugue, except you have a counter line to begin. You can have you can add some accompanying material to the beginning.
I'll probably just rewrite it.
Okay, man, I hate to crush creativity, but it is throwing me some red flags. But yeah, this would work. This would work as a sinfonia. That's the positive aspect of it. Let's see what's in the chat. Yeah, well. Oh no, you could do this. That way you start on the 5th and then you go to the tonic instead of going. And then same thing I told Erica is that you can't, like, I would add a little bit more motion here, because the idea is like you kind of there's usually a little bit of momentum going into the 2nd voice. That's the idea behind the link. The link, like for instance, it stagnates a little bit, so then there's a little link. So you might you could add something.
Right, it's building into when the next voice comes in.
Yes.
I understand.
Yeah, so you can do something like, or something like that. But
okay,
it's good.
I'm probably gonna rewrite all of it.
Well, yeah, do it however you want. It's good. I would save this and use this for your next your sinfonia. But anyway, good job. I like it. All right, let's see. Okay, let me check the chat. I should just keep it open. The problem is when I don't have 2 monitors, so it just clutters up my screen to have stuff open. Too cool for school. Too cool for school. Okay. Maria. Okay. Let's see, who else is here? Katie Betts. Harmony, have I checked out your fugue?
No, you haven't yet, but I haven't had that much time to work on it, and I don't know if I like it. I might end up just redoing the whole thing. I'm probably gonna just...
It's cool. It's cool. The only thing I would say is oh, I'm playing this too fast. Whoops. So one thing is this looks like a little bit like period construction. So I guess I don't remember where I put it, but in the sense that there's a kind of a question here and then there's an answer here.
Mhm.
That's not really, you don't generally want to do that because then you're kind of implying the 5 already. Like you're implying the 5 key area over here, because this is a dominant 7th chord, right?
Mhm.
That's being outlined. So I would maybe just do this. And then maybe, and then do this in the 5 key area.
Ah, okay.
Um,
Yeah.
It's cool though. It's cool. It's not to say you can't do this, but I think you're going to run into some exceptional challenges. Well, you're going to run into some exceptional fugue writing if you do this.
Okay.
But you know, Bach, you know, people have done everything, so it's not to say that you can't do this. It's just I've been reading so much of this book, just talking about the standard way of doing things. But yeah, I think you have more than enough material.
I think, yeah, when I start writing stuff, I listen. And so like I just wrote this based off like listening to a whole bunch of fugues and wrote something that sounded appropriate. So I didn't really like think about it too much theoretically.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the way I approach it too. I play through the examples and then ideas percolate in my mind, where I listen. Yeah, so I think that, yeah, I think you're on the right track. It sounds very Bach-like, that's for sure.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
what I was going for.
Yeah, so, oh, I see. And then you did a tonal answer. And you only, okay, so here's the thing about the tonal answer. Only, so here's the interesting thing. I think you did what Kaylee did. Is Kaylee around?
I am.
So I remember when I looked at Kaylee's answer, she transposed everything up a 4th because she looked at this and she's like, oh, I have to transpose this up a 4th, right? So I guess I'll transpose everything else up a 4th. But really, what you should do is transpose everything up a 5th, and then only transpose the notes near the beginning that are the 5th up a 4th. So because like what's happening here is you're kind of going, because this is all, I'm looking at this, this is all basically, well, am I looking at this correct? Yeah, this is all transposed up to the subdominant key area instead of the dominant key area. You know what I mean? So like,
okay.
the idea is like the tonal answer, it's a very subtle, very, very subtle thing. It's like you look at this, check this one out. Like if you transpose, like exempting this first note, like the bottom system is actually up a 5th above the top system, right? Every single note in the bottom system is a 5th above every single note in the top system, right? A is a 5th above D, G is a 5th above C, F is a 5th above B flat. However, the only note that changes is the note that suggests the 5 of 5, meaning the C is the 5th, the G would be the 5th above, if you catch my drift. So
I think that I do.
there are exceptional cases again where you do have to change more than just the first note. But by the end, sorry, go ahead.
In my defense, it sounds really cool.
You know, let's just play it. I'm curious now. Hey, that is cool. That's great. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. I like it, and the melodies are very interesting. The harmonies sound interesting. I think you just have to. I think it's very easy to make it fit to the tonal paradigm. It would just be a matter of transposing this section.
I just have to have like a dedicated day to sit down and work on it and like think about all the rules and make sure that it all works. I just haven't had time yet.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, but just keep at it. Obviously, you've done a lot of work, but for everyone else watching, just really try, because I know Kaylee, same situation. Try. It's the danger is that you modulate to the subdominant instead of the dominant. But it sounds cool, and it's very easy to make it standard just by transposing everything that you wrote in the subdominant up a whole step. So it would just be a matter of transposing this all up and then just moving only the beginning notes down a whole step or something, but only the dominant notes of the new key a whole step. So it's material not lost. It's just you have to finagle it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Of course. Let's see. Oh, it's 10:50. All right, class. Let's see. Kat is still here. Let's see, guys. I know class is over, but I can stick around if anyone wants me to check out their work.
Yeah. So could I ask you something about I just wrote?
Oh, sure. Let me go back to the screen. Griffin. Oh, whoops. This is your doodle pad. Griffin, Fugue. Okay.
I just wrote this right now, but I'm just seeing what, like, if this works so far.
Okay.
I'm not done with the answer yet, but.
Okay. Let me play it. Yeah, I think this is cool. I don't know. Part of me thinks that this might sound even cooler if it's a little bit longer. But the subject.
Oh, okay.
But it works. The real answer works. It just I think by the fact that, I might be wrong about this, but let me think about this one. This fugue right here. The one I've been referencing so much. It's got a lot of fast motion, just like your fugue. There's kind of three entrances of something. There's an odd number.
Or I could do this. 1 second. Or wait.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, exactly. You add a little bit more motion. I think that'll work better. Yeah, it makes it less halty, for sure. I like that.
Cool.
Ozan, did I hear?
I just have a little question. Back to the Bach thing. Doesn't the doesn't that isn't that like sort of like a part of a period? No, it's like 2 and then 4.
Well, it's an odd number, so it's yeah, I guess it's a little bit in some ways, because there's a little bit of a question, there's a little bit of an answer. But I think it's not as extended of a period construction, because like a lot of times periods are like 4 measures, because there's like a 2-bar phrase and then there's a 2-bar phrase. So this is sort of I think this is more motivic, because you don't if this was something like this. I think that would be more of a, like, I think harmonically it would be more period-like, because it would have this idea of the first phrase being subordinate to the second phrase.
Okay,
Whereas
so just harmonically, you don't want it to be like a period?
I think maybe harmonically you don't want it to be like period. That's, you know, that's the, see, I'm trying to interpret that as best as I can. Subjects should not have period construction. That's something I lifted from the book. Where did I write that? Oh yeah, subjects should not use period construction. That's all they said about it, and my interpretation is that I mean, I guess when I think of a classic period construction, I think of, I guess since I have examples of this in one series, it's, gosh, it's
Only Mozart.
Yeah, like there's a sort of a question answer antecedent consequent relationship, whereas here it's sort of like a motivic playoff. But like, you know, when I was listening to harmonies, it just seemed like there was like 2 bars, and then the second one was like in the dominant. And the first one was it was like, and then her second part was like. So I think maybe the danger in there is I think there's something implicitly about like the 1 chord and the 5 chord in these things. Like there's a half cadence often at the first phrase, and there's a cadence like. There's a half cadence, and then. So. Yeah, I don't know. I guess interpret that how you will. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the Bach expands on it that much. I can hear what you're saying though. There's a little bit of
Like,
of that.
Da-da-da-da-da, that's the first thing. Da-da-da-da, that's the second thing. And then the last half of it is da-da-da-da-da-da-da, or whatever.
Yeah, because I guess you could argue that's.
Like a really small scale version.
What was that?
Like a really small scale version of it.
Yeah, and then you also have to keep in mind Bach always breaks the rules, so it's like.
Oh.
But then again, no, actually I will say that Bach doesn't break the rules from the standpoint that this book was really written with Bach in mind. So I guess according to the book, Bach doesn't break the rules in this regard. I don't think he does, but sometimes he does. That's why there are situations like, I think I mentioned the order of entry last time. There are situations like, it's rare cases where he'll do certain things. Like he'll have this order of entry. I think this is a good, like, this exemplifies like Bach's attitude in general, where like he'll do best practice things, but then every now and then he'll do something different.
Okay.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's hard. It's a hard sentence to interpret. I wish Kent Kennan was still alive so I can ask him.
Alrighty, thank you.
Of course. Let's see.
All right. Yeah, I added some stuff. I'm not quite done with the answer yet in the last bar, but.
Okay. There's a lot of. My first impression is I would check some of these intervals. Guess that works. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think this right here caught me off guard a little bit because it's a 7th on an essential interval. That would make it a tritone, but so I guess you have to.
Well, it would be F sharp and C sharp.
Oh, F sharp. Oh, sorry. I think my screen was showing a natural for a second, but I see. Yeah, it's corrected now. Okay. That is okay. It's a 5th. You know, 5ths are generally not used that often as strong beat occurrences.
Yeah.
Going back to it's just not, it's not as common. Like if I bring back the first species, good example, he hardly uses fifths at all. So I potentially avoid, you're drawing some attention to it. And, but let's see. Yeah, we'll just take a closer look at some of these intervals, but I think it sounds pretty good. Let's take a look at it now. Yeah, it's like you're going from an eighth to a fifth. So there's this idea, I think, that it's not, those are two kind of intervals you want to avoid in general, but then it's, I don't know, there's something about it that the counterpoint. It might be this that's causing some da da da. Okay, so this is the, oh, wait a second, I think I see another problem. You don't want to change, you want to keep it literal.
Oh, okay. That was by accident. I'll just see if I can fix that real fast.